What's up, y'all? It's Truth Tiger, and I'm going to talk today about reclaiming your life after narcissists. So, once you have dealt with narcissists, there's going to be a point where there's like a fallout. You're going to probably cut them out. Maybe you were discarded very unexpectedly by them, and you're like, what went wrong? Or maybe you've gotten to a point like I did where it's just, I cannot tolerate these people anymore. I can't be around them, and you got to cut them out. So, either way, you're going to be left kind of high and dry. Friends are not going to be very supportive necessarily, especially if they were tied into this narcissist. If you have friends that are not toxic and that are cool people and they were not tied into this narcissism or this narcissist in any way, those friends will be very cool and supportive, but most of us will find ourselves realizing that a lot of our quote unquote friends were actually narcissistic enablers and that they were a part of it and they were tied into it, and that those people are also part of the problem. So you have to assess your friends and realize who's enabling the narcissist, who's on the side of narcissists and stuff like that, and who's really cool. So you have to kind of figure that out. And the second part is you're probably going to have an awakening to how big of a problem this actually is in society and how common that narcissism actually is and how common that narcissists are. And you're going to kind of start to see it everywhere. And you're going to see that there are these toxic, predatory people and manipulative people everywhere. And they're kind of just running around everywhere. And it's concerning. So you're going to start to realize that. You may even start to realize that our whole society is built on like narcissistic values and manipulation and gaslighting, and is not built on really solid stuff. And you're going to start to maybe even see that too. You're also going to realize that like you are targeted on some level, and that narcissists will kind of specifically seek you out in a way. They're kind of try to get you. I have experienced this a lot too, where they start to try to find you and get you. And I've had a lot of narcissists just appear out of the woodwork, coworker, whatever. I've had that a lot, and it's now you got to deal with this person. You'll also start to realize like how bad narcissism actually is and how terrible and devastating its effects are. And you start to realize that these people are ABUSIVE people, and that they're really bad. You start to realize that on an ethical and on a moral level, these are really bad people. They don't have morals or ethics. They're very evil. You start to just realize, like, man, this is just an awful, terrible, terrible person. And you realize that a lot of people have enabled them in being awful and terrible, and people work with them on that, and whatever. You realize it's a whole network, it's a whole web of them, unfortunately. And like I said earlier, it's like you got to cut a lot of people out, and you start to maybe recognize a pattern too. And for me, I always knew there was a lot of problems with my childhood. I always had a lot of anger towards it. I always knew my parents weren't good parents, and I always knew there was problems, but I always held on, and I always thought it's fine, whatever, this, that. I didn't really know about narcissists that well, and I didn't understand it. But for me, I really realized that my parents were narcissists and that my family was a very narcissistic family, and I didn't realize that. And I learned that, and I realized that my own family is really the origin and the genesis point of where this stuff started. And the games and the manipulation and the bullcrap they started to run that campaign against me from when I was a little kid. And that my own family was a very combative, very every man for himself, very stab you in the back, that my family was just very much like that. And I didn't understand that, but I kind of gained that understanding, and I realized that like my own family is not my friends, you know? It's unfortunate, but I would say for 90, like, for the vast majority of people who are dealing with narcissists, this this is the case on some level. Maybe not everybody. Maybe not everybody. Maybe you have a good family, but you just happen to have a narcissistic friend or, romantic partner or whatever, you had some narcissist come in, but maybe your family is solid. But I feel like for most people I talk to, they realize that their family is not solid at all, and that's kind of where this all started. Even with like alcoholics and stuff like that, they call this family of origin. And this is a very common thing that like people realize that a lot of this stuff traces back to the family. It really does. Yeah, so you start to realize the familial origins of these things, and you start to realize how you've been scapegoated since you've been a little kid, and that your own family, you've had a lot of enemies in there with you, among your own family. And I realized for myself that I had to cut my family out. I don't know where everybody's at with that exactly, but that's what I learned and that's what I realized. And I'm like, dang, it's hard, but just looking at them through a different lens and getting past all their gaslighting and manipulation, especially that they did to me when I was a little kid, which makes that manipulation a lot more powerful and it makes it work a lot better, especially shaking all that off and seeing the daylight. It was just like, man, like this is bad. I really saw it. I was like, man, this is really, really bad. I can't have these people around, I really can't. And that's what you kind of start to do. You realize you got to really cut a lot of people out of your life. And right now I'm just rolling solo, really honestly. And I just don't know who to trust at this point. It's something I'm struggling with, and I just realize a lot of people are fake. I realize it's just like a lot of fake people, a lot of people that are trying to get something from me but not give something to me. And I'm not going to deal with that, with people who are just trying to use me or take. No. So I'm very careful with the people that I hang around, and I watch people. I see how they move, and I'm very careful with observing that, And yeah, like you kind of realize like you got to be very careful who you hang around and who you keep company with. And then I really realized also next, like I have to have my life together. I can't be relying on anybody for anything, because if narcissists can make you rely on them for things, that's a great control tool. And that's a great way to make you trapped so you can't leave. So you got to be independent. I realize I got to have my own money, my own place, my own this, my own that, my own car. I got to have it all my own, and I got to be able to take care of it and take care of myself and, take care of my finances and take care of living my life and doing the things I need to do. And I have to take a lot of self-ownership, I really do. I have to really own my own life, because if I don't, some narcissist who does not own their own life either is going to come in with their void of darkness and try to take my life over. And if I own my own life, that's not possible. It's not going to happen. There's just not room for it. There isn't, So I realized that I have to really own my own life. And then I realized I have to heal too. I have to take time for healing. I have to take time to recover. I can't just go nose to the grindstone, hardcore, whatever. I got to let these wounds heal. And because, you start to realize a lot of the wounds you have, both mental, emotional, even physical, stress will manifest itself into physical health issues. You start to realize these wounds that you had, they have an origin. And that origin is narcissists, and all the hurtful words they said to you, and all the drama they put in your life, and all the anxiety they caused, and all the stress they caused has taken a very negative toll on you and on your health and on your life. And you're not in the position you want to be in life. You've been pulled behind. You haven't been able to accomplish the things you've wanted to accomplish. And you realize what a burden this has been on you, and you realize what a burden these people have been on you, and you realize these people have just take, and that they'll keep taking until you die, And you really realize just like how selfish and evil and creepy and just manipulative, and you start to really realize that these are bad people. And you get to a point where I got to a point where I will not tolerate them in my life. I won't tolerate them around me. I won't tolerate their antics. And I got to a point where I am stronger than them. Really, I always have been. It's just about claiming it. But I'm stronger than them. And when they start to play their games around me, I will not buy into it. I will not look at them. I will not talk to them. And, I'll make sure to get them out. If I have to. And if it's a situation I have to exit, I will exit the situation. If they come up in my workplace, I'll make sure to get them out. Because they're going to try to get me out. They will. You really start to realize that these people want to destroy you and sabotage you. And it's deep. Like, they want to destroy you. Like, I've had people try to do stuff that was not, it blew up on them in the end of the day, but I've had narcissists try to sabotage my career and stuff, and in the end of the day, it blew up on them. It didn't work, but legit, they will try to destroy your life, destroy your finances, destroy your health, destroy any friends you have. These people will try to destroy your entire life. You really realize, these people are evil, and you have to be a warrior against them. And you have to be someone who does not tolerate that or them for even half a second. You got to be very sharp with it and very tight with it. And you got to be absolutely not. If you try to come at me, you're going to run into a brick wall and it's going to hurt bad. Yeah. And I say this a lot, but I've had a lot of situations with narcissists where it's we're both crossing this rickety bridge together, and underneath the bridge there's a pit of lava, and I'm let's work together, let's try to be safe, let's whatever, and then they just try to all of a sudden push me off the edge, and I'm what are you doing? What? Hey, stop that. And they try it again, and then I'm all right, I have to throw them off the edge into the pit of lava. I don't want to have to do this, but if I don't do this, they're going to try to do it to me. And I realize it's all right, this is not this is not fun and games. This is a battle. This is my life. And I am not going in that pit of lava. They are. And I will throw them down there. And I'm telling you, because you realize when you exit a narcissist's life, they fall apart. I've seen it a lot, When you stand up to them and you do not deal with their stuff, they blow up and they get super emotional and they sabotage themselves. And I have seen that. I have seen that where all of a sudden they're screaming and yelling at the managers and the executives and whatever, and that they're having these insane freakouts, and it's they get fired from the job. I've seen that before. I've seen it happen with my own two eyes, And yeah, you also just realize how much these people are enabled. You realize that the broader system of society does not do anything to really stop this. It doesn't really care. A lot of people in positions of power are in fact narcissists and sociopaths and very toxic people. And you realize society doesn't really care about this. Society is going to just kind of let this one ride. So you realize that when it comes to stopping this, you got to take it upon yourself. And let me tell you, the psychologists and the psychiatrists, most of them are narcissists themselves. They don't care about stopping narcissism. They don't care about diagnosing it. They don't care about properly diagnosing it. They don't care at all. They don't have empathy. They are narcissists and sociopaths and people who lack empathy and liars and manipulators. And a lot of them are using their knowledge of psychology for the wrong kind of things. A lot of them are just trying to make money. A lot of them are just going to tell you what you want to hear. Some of them might be good, but just be careful though, because the system in general is not really your friend when it comes to dealing with narcissists. It's not. And again, you go to a lot of religions and stuff like that. It's a lot of narcissists in there too. A lot of narcissists are beating on their chest and saying God this and God that and whatever, when it's really about their own ego, So, like, don't really expect much help from the institutions of society, Really. Unless a narcissist, like, freaks out so much and commits a crime or something, maybe then the system will arrest them. But in terms of them just being nasty and manipulative and crappy and lying and whatever, unless they do something that's like legitimately a crime and there's legitimate evidence and it's a crime on the law, on the books, and there's hard evidence and unless they really screw up, which a lot of them do, nothing's going to happen to them. They have to really like screw up. They have to really completely like go into narcissistic collapse and totally lose their crap. Like, I'm telling you, I've seen it. They have to totally lose their crap for something to happen to them, So you kind of realize that, the world as a whole is not really built on an axis of good. You kind of realize that maybe not the world, but society, civilization, I should say. Society, civilization is not really built on a good axis, It's more on an axis of evil, So you kind of realize that. And in that, you realize that you need to be separate from society. You realize that society as a whole is not really your friend. You realize that society as a whole is something that's going to prop up narcissists. You realize that society as a whole is not going to really care about you or understand you. You realize that, even the narcissist thing, which I make videos about, society as a whole, they either won't care about it, or it's like people are going to lie and they're going to try to say, oh, my ex-boyfriend was a narcissist, or blah, 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 whatever. Some weird TikTok video of some girl with way too much makeup on. And I mean, I've read comments on Reddit and stuff where I was talking to somebody and it was clear that they were a narcissist themselves, but they were trying to accuse their ex of being a narcissist. So, I mean, just be careful about the world. The world will twist everything up, So you kind of realize that you got to make your own way and you got to be your own person, and you can't really conform to society, and that you are not meant to conform to society. And on some level, if you woke up to this narcissist stuff and you sort of broke out of it, you realize that this was not just like a physical thing, but it was a spiritual quest too, and that you do have some special spiritual things about you, that you broke out of this whole narcissist thing, and that you saw it for what it was, and that you did not let it completely take your life over and ruin your life, because that's what it would do. You start to, it starts to change you on a spiritual level, and you start to rethink spirituality and God and the whole way the world runs. You start to rethink it with this stuff. I know with me, it made me really rethink everything dealing with this narcissism. It really did, and yeah, like, back to more practical stuff, you realize also that, like, you have to have your own way and your own path and your own thing going on in life. You realize that the corporate world full of narcissists, so you got to kind of keep your guard up, and you realize, like, you got to just be your own person, and where you go, you have to be like, this is kind of my space, and I'm not going to let bad people come in, and I'm going to make my own life and my own way in life. And like, the world doesn't get it for the most part. Like, when you tell the world, when I try to talk to people about this stuff, I'm very vague in how I say stuff. I say I was dealing with some toxic people, some issues, whatever. Like, the world doesn't really get this or understand this. Most people won't really care about it very much. So you kind of realize the world is not like a very empathetic place. Like, the attitude of most people is like, You had a bad thing happen to you? What? Ha ha, you suck. You had something bad. He had something bad happen. He has a problem. What? He has a problem? Yeah, I heard, That's how most people are. You kind of realize that, like, most people are pretty gross, and you realize that finding that empathy, most people don't have it. Not just empathy for you, but empathy in general. You realize that's a pretty rare thing, a basic thing most people should have, and they don't have it, and you get awakened and you begin on your new journey, and you start to do things for yourself, and you start to build up your own way in life and build up your own financial success, and you start to realize also that, like, you can connect spiritually with God without these institutions. You can do it yourself. You don't need the church, you don't need these people kind of being the middleman, so it really wakes you up to a lot of stuff when you get out of this narcissism and when you get past this narcissism and stuff. It really does, and it really opens up a huge can of worms once you start to say no to it, and start to just be like, hey, heck no, I'm not dealing with this. It opens up a massive can of worms, and it was a huge part of my spiritual journey, to deal with these narcissists and to acknowledge what was going on, and to get them out, and you got to break the cycle too. You don't want new narcissists coming in your life and making that cycle go around, And the thing is, you start to realize that it's a cycle, and a lot of times it'll happen with, like, parents and stuff. Well, one parent or one spouse member or whatever, one, husband, wife, whatever, one of them will be a narcissist, and then one of them will be a victim to it. Or they'll both be narcissists, or one of them will be an enabler, either way. But you start to kind of realize that there's this cycle that goes deep into your family. I think back on my parents, I'm like, they're narcissists. I look at my grandparents, I'm like, they're narcissists too. This has just been going on and on and on and on and on. And I realized that, like, in my generation, or not my generation, but I guess in my generation, but in my, in my family line, I have to break this curse. And I have to be the one that's not going to act this out or live this out or be this way, And for me also, it really made me think a lot about morals and ethics and who God wants me to be and stuff like that. It really made me think that, like, I need to be a very ethical person, and I need to set the right example, and I need to, like, do rightness and help others and spread love and spread kindness and spread positivity and do whatever I can to help others out. I start to realize that, like, I have a mission that's not just to make money or to, be about the world. I have a mission. I have, like, a higher calling to put a stop to this evil stuff, because narcissists are, like, in the way of Satan. They are like little Satans, little devils, little Lucifers. They are like an embodiment of evil. And I realize that as an embodiment of good, we have a responsibility to defeat these embodiments of evil and to show people the good way to do things. And that these embodiments of evil are going to try to destroy us for being embodiments of good. And that someone who embodies evil is just going to be destructive and bad. Someone who embodies evil is just going to just be nasty. That's just how they're going to be. That's who they are, That's who they are. It's how they move, It's what they do. And you realize, like, when these narcissists hang out, they hate each other, they talk crap about each other, they're always gossiping about each other, they're always looking to us for someone to bully or mess with or be condescending to. And you just really realize, like, it's just like, man, these people are just not nice. You realize these people wear a mask. They act fake nice and all this stuff, but underneath they're very rotten, You just start to see all this stuff. You start to realize all this stuff. And for me, it's like, I've never been happier than I am in my life. Most people, I'm 31. Most people, I'm 31. My 20s are over. That's how most people are. But for me, I'm like, I'm happier now because I'm free. I don't have to deal with that crap anymore. It's done. I've shut the door on that. I've shut the door on evil and on Satan. And through God, I have claimed the victory. And I can be very happy with that. Whereas most people in the system, they just live lives of misery. You know, they ain't happy, And again, they're not really very good people. They put on a mask of being some big nice guy or some big nice lady or some big nice whatever, but underneath, they're very selfish, not good people. So yeah, reclaim your life, take your life back, move forward with these realizations. Go forward, be successful, claim what's yours, take back everything they stole from you, take it all back, get back to who you are, get back to who you were, get back to your passions, just get back to, living life and enjoying life and, just get you back, get you back and reclaim yourself because ourselves were stolen from us at a young age. So, yeah, I think I'm going to end it there on that note. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. God bless you all. I really appreciate all of you so much. And yeah, I will see you all next time.